You know, you ever watch a series and then when you're going to do research to actually review it, you actually find all these different things that you actually have to watch to fully understand the series, and then you go into this rabbit hole, everything, and now you're here just dumbfounded at all the things that you found about the series. Only me? Wow. And so now I have to make a new introduction. So Zeiram, or the OVA, Iria the Animated Series, is a multi-part series about a bounty hunter attacking this creature and how destructive this creature is and her trying to get the bounty for it. It included movies, the 6-episode OVA, and then 2 games. And like, listen, we'll get to them. So with the first movie, and the first one of the series, Zeiram is a science fiction Japanese movie from 1991 that shows a girl named Iria with this computer AI named Bob trying to stop this creature from destroying Earth, and fights it in what is called the zone. So it starts out seeing Zeiram, and honestly this looks more creepy than the animated version, but to kind of give you a feeling of how this movie is really structured, I really would say how an alien movie would fit in as a Halloween style movie. But pretty much we see our main protagonist in this story, pretty much as Iria is kind of setting up for the battle, we also get a focus on these 2 guys that are working for this electric company, because basically they get a call from their boss saying, hey, get this shit fixed, there's too much power here. But as Aria's getting set up for the job, we kind of get to see Aria's and Bob's dynamic, in which, you know, Iria is more get the job done, get in, get out, while Bob is more precaution in a lot of ways, especially for missions like these, because they don't want to lose their license. And I want to be that guy that kind of gives you this weird context thing that, oddly enough, Bob is alive in the anime, but yet in this he's already a bot. So it's going to be weird once you watch that part if you're going out of order. But anyways, let's continue. After getting a good look at the surroundings, the workers check in on the place that Iria is at, and they accidentally get teleported. And with mishaps happening, and the other guy with Iria, for his safety, he's frozen. And now the mission looks like it's going to be a escort mission while trying to get the bounty off of Zeiram's head. And we get to understand what Bob does, and that is creating zones. And from the logic that I can get and trying to explain it in the simplest ways of possible, it's for the one that's going to get hunted to feel they're in a real place, as it's all not real. It's all secluded, so it'd be the easiest, and you know, people won't get harmed. But Tepe gets to meet Zeiram, and yeah, you can already see that this is gonna be for real for these guys, since you know they don't know about any of this, and we get to see, oh god, yeah, this thing creates a goblin. But anyways, Iria guides Zeiram to the capture point and captures it, so she thought as to break it. Shooting tells the mag runs out. Figuratively though, it looks like it's now become a hunter being hunted, as Zeiram it looks to be indestructible, and she decides to use her suit to get this job done and become much smoother. After some fighting, she looks like she's gotten oh god, what is that? More fighting it ensues, and she finally gets a chance to freeze it. And to get into practical effects, I'll say this, that they actually do a good job with all these sets. I love how the monsters look, and I mean the monsters look like they're slimy and smelly, and oh shit, the goblins is brought to the real world, and it's broken the transmitter. And now the 2 is stuck with this thing. After bro talk, they actually get sneak attacked by one of the goblins, and they start trying to shoot it, and they accidentally shoot the crystal, which brings Zeiram, and that figures it out, and it now becomes more of a question of them surviving or not, which the plan is to communicate with them and see what happens. If those can get the job done, or they're going to lose their license.
You there, sir? I certainly hope you've got a fishing license.
Well, no, I don't, but...
Oh, no? Have you beheaded?
While this is happening, Iria and Bob is figuring out about it, and they face up top, as it looks like it eats organic matter and creates those gremlins like that. And it looks like it's going to be, but Iria gets to talk to them and talk to them about what's going on, and tells them that game, and it, and being skittish, they don't want to because they think it's indestructible. Anyways, the boys end up being hunted down, and Iria tells them about the Mandela's cannon. They get a point to chase for the cannon as Syria found Tupe and takes his mop out and construction equipment. But anyways, as that goes down, Iria comes back and does what she should have done before. Not yet. It turns out that the skeleton monster, or as the guys gets the weapon, Iria will buy them some time finally getting rid of the monster and capturing the head. Get fucking swerved, and it comes back into the situation for Iria and the real world, and it pretty much just tries to, actually kill it. But there's no swerving. It finally ends with a bullet to the brain. Oh god. And I'll say this, it's not a bad movie per se, especially this being the first one out of the series. It gives a really decent way to kind of understand the movies, but how it's structured, it's like how Dragon Ball do these arcs, and the trope that Goku's out for like the most fit until Goku's finally needed. Yeah, it kind of just did that thing where Iria is kind of presented at the early start. They get screwed and then they have to figure it out. Iria comes back, they end it, bippity boppity boo, and whatnot. And I think the one thing I will say that I kind of didn't like is all the transformations. And I get it that it's an alien that's pretty much an unstoppable force, but I don't know. I think it would have been a better movie if it just didn't do that. And it did the thing that they do in Halloween where the characters are fighting that that indestructible force, but then at the end, and they finally get rid of it. And I'm not saying that, this thing is, Michael Myers, but I'm just saying that was actually a really good thing that they actually did. I just didn't like how it just made it that much of a force. I think if anything, like, especially in that car scene was perfect for the whole entire time. But then you have everything else around it, especially with those gremlin creatures. I honestly think if they just had that one that did the sneak attack, everything would have been fine to me. But it gives a good ending, and with so many false finishes, it runs to that weird place where you don't want to constantly make them feel like the movie's supposed to end here, but it does that, and it does that in a bad effect that makes the viewer just say, so is it ending now or no? But I think overall it was a good start for an introduction to a sci-fi movie. Act 2 kind of dragged out, but then Act 3 kind of saved the day with it. So would I recommend watching this? If you can, go ahead. But with all the things I criticized about it, it's done is done. It's literally nearly 30 years old at this point.
She's a hunter. A hunter? Okay, I'll give you someone to fight.
A young girl looks up to her older brother.
You get all the prime jobs.
You never know until you do them.
She isn't old enough.
You know she can handle it.
Then she begins to seek the impossible.
If we're not lucky, we're dead meat.
It can't be.
Iria!
Sometimes growing up means pushing yourself to the limit.
A sister who's as headstrong as her brother.
It's who I am.
Iria Zeiram the Animation Part 1. Next on the Sci-Fi Channel.
That was some ride.
And well, in 1994, Iria the Animated Series got released as an OVA, being in 6 episodes. And well, from the film and what I said earlier about her brother that killed Bob, she's on a mission to, right or wrong by killing Zeiram. And, instead of her being the main protagonist, she's actually taken a role of being the apprenticeship. Really, if anything, it's actually really good. So during the hijacking, the Karma, they discovered that the hijackers are actually an indestructible alien called Zeiram that breaks out during the transmission and attempts to massacre the crew. As the mission goes south, Bob becomes in critical condition from escaping and now being hunted by the Karma Corporation. So with an unstoppable force and a corporation trying to destroy her on her own. With the adventure, Iria is an interesting character and a great protagonist with a chip on her shoulder, being a apprentice, but yet her being inexperienced without her brother. She's capable but not experienced as sees with the orphans early on. Even with them getting into trouble, we get to see how capable at the end of the second episode with Kia and Ira's relationship. After all those, she meets the doctor that was a part of the research before, and Ira has a moral conflict with Putibir. See, it's a technicality that he, assisted in her brother's death, but as she gets the bounty on her head, it's safe to know that Bob is actually alive technically in a computer system. So you remember what I said about how it's weird of how things are introduced? Yeah, when I watched this was the first one I've watched, and I was like, wait a minute. So does Ira happen before, or, and that stuff? But it's an OVA. What are you gonna do? But yet the kids and the doctor are being conflicted by Zeiram, and it's not till Ira comes and helps them, and the monster looks like, but once it's situated when they leave, or so we thought. No, we thought. So with that, we're near the finish line with now one of the orphans actually getting game over, and they've figured how to destroy the monster and sending it to transit, with the administration getting ready to do so. But in training, Kay takes the ship and tries to fly for it. I'll say this, the kids got hurt, but only gets to the garage opening. But as the administration struggles to destroy it, Ira comes in to finish the job as it gets started, and it looks like Fuji and Ki tagged along, but find out the creature, and it looks like they continue through the former and finding so many similarities with who she pushes Ki out of the way. She doesn't get hurt, but it figures out that the strategy was particularly to simulate but not fully go in, but she strikes it as the iron was hot, and the game ending it, getting revenge for Bob. I really enjoyed my time with watching this, how different things were with Bob being alive and whatnot. I think the OVA like these are just fun to watch and interesting to see how things would have been structured. I genuinely enjoyed how it went for a space adventure and not for that dimensional idea that the original movie have. It's only 6 episodes, so if you really hope for something more, you can probably find it. The thing I will actually give is its flowers is in its design. I actually really enjoy how these backgrounds look, and especially with this scene right here with the guy about to fall and Iria just kind of just torturing him, going up and down with the gun. But honestly, I totally would say you should watch it. I think if anything, if you really want to watch it, I think you should. But I also think that, if you're on a break, this is something that definitely would, get you interested back to watching something else, because it's so short that would make it palpable to watch something else. And also, Aria's and Key's dynamic is very cute. Okay, with the success of the movie and the OVA premiering earlier that year of 1994, we finally get to see what Iria and Bob will get themselves into with Zeiram 2. Weirdly, the movie starts with these androids that are part of Zeiram. So the rundown is that Tepe, the guy with the red shirt, remember him, is getting married, and the other guy before won't come, as both of them have their own accord meeting with Iria and decides to meet all together. And furthermore, I'd say that Iria is better changed compared to her character from the former. She's more confident and more interesting to look at. And not saying, first of all, that they didn't do a good job in the original, but she's definitely has that, main protagonist look instead of just being so standoffish and not just being good with the choreography. She's got character, damn it. She's not just a wrestler, but a character. But anyways, she gains a reputation from her last hunt, taking down the 3 bandits with authority. It's these bandits who provide envoy to Zeiram, as it takes a MacGuffin from the bot, but they get teleported to the temple. And I think the success of the first one, we're able to get them more people to join in. Actually, with scenes like this, and with Zeiram going haywire from getting punched and his face as reinstated villain to envelop our cast into the zone. So that means we're stuck here again. God damn it! But before we continue, let's talk about why I did this in this order. So this is a retcon with Fujikaro's introduction into Zeiram 2, bordering from the anime's retcon. Fujikaro is actually a lovable jerk in Ira, while Zeiram, he's just a bastard. And Bob is mentioned to be much kinder, but besides that, and the spoilers of what happens to him later as well, yeah, you can kind of see why I did this in this order. Now facing off, Iria and Zeiram has a martial arts heavy fight, incorporating weapons, and Zeiram takes the samurai aesthetic, and why the fuck does it have boobs now? I'm confused. I don't know what's happening. My brain hurts. Anyways, he's with some stop motion and 3 meetings each of it, but it becomes getting some distance and getting the job done. The monster keeps interfering, but in the end, in a duel, it gets done with the zone for good. And honestly, I could say that this is genuinely better than the original, but I think the original has more charm, if you get what I'm saying. It's like when you're playing a sequel to a game that you love. It's good like the first one, but it's not the same, so you kind of get weirded out by it. But yet, it does so many good things as well, so you're kind of saying to yourself, this is good, but I don't like it as much. And that's pretty much how I felt about this movie. And out of anything I will say is this definitely has the better visual effects. Like, look at this, like, Jesus Christ. But then, you also got the things that you can totally tell that they had a bigger budget for compared to the original, and you're just like, wow, kind of didn't think they really needed that until now. But then when you look at the original is such a secluded way of watching it. And as much that you don't really feel that way of being in that area with them, because it's a movie, and if you're watching this in the dark, you kind of would have gotten scared of it. But when I'm watching this movie compared to the first one more feels like a horror movie than the second one. The second one definitely feels like more of a sci-fi movie. I think I actually would say, like, visually, this is more like an Evil Dead movie with the stop motion and how weird shit looks. But yeah, I guess what I would say is that with this being a sequel, it does its job of being a sequel, but being a standalone movie, it does that better. And honestly, with this being more of a rabbit hole than anything, I actually really enjoyed myself with watching all this. With me only thinking that this was going to be maybe a 10-minute video, has kind of just gone down to be more like a 20-minute or near that compared to the latter. But honestly, besides that, I really found something that I really enjoyed. And it's not the games, but it's the movies. It's the OVA. It's everything around it. And honestly, I kind of wish that it had more success and gained more than just a cult following here in America. It more to me just kind of feels like that as more and more people try to make the strong independent female archetype, a lot of times that they forget about how it's actually supposed to be done. Where I feel like Iria is a good blueprint for some of these people to actually look at and actually try to understand, than just making a character just be a guy for once. Iria isn't just capable, but especially in the OVA, that she's actually, someone that has a little bit of inexperience, and it kind of becomes detrimental towards her. And especially seeing all of this, it kind of gives me more appreciation for someone to be like this in character. So keep hunting, Iria and Bob. It's what y'all do best. Heyo, it's Jarfy. I don't know what time it is. I'm just recording this because, I actually need to put something down to, to tell y'all people to do those things. But yeah, I especially enjoyed this series. But, do the things down there. Give it a like. If you don't like it, give me the engagement though. Share it around. My Linktree should be somewhere at the description, but if that's not there, I don't know what 3 a.m. me is thinking. But I hope you have a fun time watching this, and do whatever you can.